Okay, Ester Saint. Let me tell you some more about her high school time. She hadn't been here too long. I think maybe 3 weeks. And in sixth hour PE class, Ms. Strong, their instructor, brought in an old friend of hers who happened to be running the state girls' physical education program and was in charge of the state competition for cross country. And at the beginning of class, the lady introduced herself, Ms. Goodman, and she told him who she was, and she said she was here the other day and had timed the girls on their run and was very impressed, and that Ms. Strong had suggested she come and watch them because all of the runners in the class had been doing exceptionally well. So Ms. Goodman wanted to extend an invitation to the state championship meet for cross country for the state to the entire class, something that isn't often done. But she said everybody from her recollections had ran an exceedingly fast time and looked like they could be competitive in the state run. And that she herself thought it was time that people learn that the students at Grant High are capable of many things and excelling in many ways, and that she had graduated from Grant High, and that she would be cheering for us, for the girls, should they choose to compete. And she was very enthusiastic about offering this competition, and they're showing to everyone how Grant High students could excel. And so after her speech, she said, or asked the class if they were interested. And it was quiet for a couple seconds. Then Esther stood up and started applauding. Dae stood up next to her. Raven, who was already enthusiastic about the whole concept, stood up too, and then the entire class stood up and applauded. They had accepted the challenge and that the class would be there. So they had maybe 3.5 months of practice, of work to do before the tournament, the state competition. Ms. Strong had pulled many strings to get her friend Ms. Goodman there, and was happy that the girls had accepted this challenge. It could be good for everybody. And so from that day forward, they all knew that they were going to have to work very hard. So Ms. Strong told them to start today, run as hard as they could, and then they would set goals, and when they got back, to slow down and stretch their muscles before showering and take only warm showers, not hot showers and not cold showers, which would be best for muscle recovery. And that's the way the girls got into a state competition. That night, Dae was staying over at Ester's. They were going to make pizza. Ester had already prepared the pizza crust dough, and Dae, excuse me, had, for the first time, started to help Ester spread the pizza dough out. Really enjoyed it. Stretching it, the elasticity of the dough. And then they built the pizza pie up with a special sauce that Ester had made from tomatoes from her adopted father's grocery store. Mr. Ho had imported some special tomatoes from Italy that Ester had suggested they try, and they had become very popular. So that, and there were some olives and onions, and green peppers and red peppers. So a vegetarian pizza is what it was going to be. And so they had that in the oven, and doorbell rang. And it was Aunt Brandy's date for the evening. Aunt Brandy was going to go out, giving her one-time off-and-on boyfriend another opportunity to date. Jacob's song. And they were going to go out, and she wasn't certain where they were headed. So he was on time, and he walked in, and he was greeted by Ester, and he said, "Oh, something smells really great in here." And Aunt Brandy had already said if Jacob was late, she was going to have some pizza because it smelled great. Well, Jacob, once he got there, said, we have plenty of time. I thought we'd do a movie tonight, and movie doesn't start for a while, so if you want to have a piece of pizza, probably would be okay. And so they sat down with Ester and Dae, and they had some pizza. And it was a lot of fun. It was great, great pizza. There had been 2 pizzas made, Ester's and Dae's. They were both very proud of their pizzas. They looked very similar, having used the same ingredients. And in the refrigerator was some beer that Ester had managed to order delivered from her father's market, and it came directly to the house where Aunt Brandy was able to sign for it. And so she had a beer with her pizza. And one thing led to another, and she had one more piece of pizza, one more beer, and before she finished it, Jacob's phone rang, and there had been an emergency at the hospital, and he had to excuse himself and rush off to the hospital for an emergency surgery. And he told Brandy he'd try and get back as soon as he could that night. So Aunt Brandy gave him a kiss, and they said goodnight.